they don't care who it is right now. They're showing their true colors, and Trump's allowing it, which is brilliant because, again, this is decimating the Democratic Party. Now, don't get me wrong with some of these governors like DeSantis. I agree with a lot of stuff he's doing. I don't agree with how he's handling not opening the state, but it could have been worse. We could have had Andrew Gillum, who just, by the way, came out in a national interview, says former Florida governor candidate Andrew Gillum tells Tamron Hall he's bisexual.
Yep.
That is something I have never shared publicly before, he said. Now, we all know what happened in that Florida hotel room, this meth-fueled whatever it was he was doing with this guy down there. So it could have been a whole lot worse. That was the Democrats' chance to turn Florida into California, is what that was. Exactly. So we're very blessed in the sense that we have DeSantis and some of these people. So again, this may be a progression where God's using certain people to get things, to keep things out. But I think most of this, to go back to what you're talking about, is to expose the Democrats and the corruption is what this is. Now, I think somebody said something about Dade County now. The Hispanics were going for Trump now, which is huge. Yeah. In Dade County, Florida. Now, some of the corruption in Broward has been cleaned up. Literally the most corrupt county in the state of Florida, Broward County. And so, some of that corruption has been cleaned up. I don't know if all of it has. I pray it has, because that is one corrupt county right there, brother.
Well, Broward County is almost like New York City. It's like these big metropolis cities in these states. Like, if you take New York City out of New York, New York's red. You take L.A.
Right.
and San Francisco out of California, California's red.
Right.
You take Atlanta. Look, Georgia has in my home state of Georgia, traditionally in the past, Georgia's been solid red. Georgia's not solid red anymore because of Atlanta and Savannah and some of these big suburbs. Florida's the same way. You take Miami out of it. Look, that panhandle area is as red as it can get. Jacksonville, sort of a mix. Tampa, Orlando, sort of a mix to live with.
No, Orlando's hard blue.
Hard blue. But you
hard
take
blue like Miami.
Orlando and Miami out of the equation, you got a red state. So when corruption is taken out of one of the biggest blue counties in the country, that's huge news. That's huge. Yeah. And I just think more of that's got to be done, buddy. That's the only thing I'm concerned about with this election. I am. Well, two things, really. Voter apathy is number one, but this voter fraud is the other. And you've talked about this a million times on this show. We don't have to rehash it all, but I do believe President Trump is aware of it, and there's some encouraging signs of what he did last week, some of the comments he's making. And I understand the White House has actually got a legal team together already in place ahead of this election. They're already strategizing what's going to happen because they're expecting an onslaught of try every effort in the world to discredit this election. I had a gut feeling the Lord spoke to my heart today. I do. I really believe the Lord spoke this to me. I was praying about this today. I was. And the Lord jokingly, he likes to make me laugh sometimes. And he said, none of this will matter when Trump wins New York and California, because there won't be no Big Apple to fight about. If you got 500 electoral votes, you won't have to worry about Trump winning anything else. The only state that Biden to get will be Minnesota if he's lucky. But I believe that that's going to be something that we need to pray about, that if Trump takes off and picks off one of these big states, takes California or New York, either one, but it's over. That's over. There can't nothing they can do to fight it. There's nothing they can do to fight that. So I just think there's a surprise coming in that area. I don't know.
I think that California even went red in 2016. I was close to prophesying that, but because of voter fraud, I think that the House went red. But because of voter fraud, electoral fraud, now that we're finding out, some of this stuff was allowed so that it could be exposed. Now, what's at the head of the forefront? They had to let them win and do the damage so that people could live it out and show them, because if you tell people, they're not going to believe you most of the time. But when they're being shown, it's affecting their personal lives. Now it becomes front and center. What's front and center? The voter fraud that's been going on for decades in this country that the cabal has literally been manipulating from day one. They choose who's the president, not the people.
That's right, buddy.
And for once, the people chose in 2016, and they're going to choose again in 2020.
You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of what when the Lord showed you when the Lord showed you Trump was going to win, and he made a comment to you in your spirit. He said the country was not angry enough in 2012. That's right. And because we had 4 years of Obama, Republicans put up a sorry candidate, Mitt Romney, an actually absolute rhino, who I think almost threw that election on purpose, and McCain did too. But you always said that the country, the Lord showed you the country was not mad. When we got to 2016, we were mad. country had been fed up with 8 years of Democrat rule. I think these 2 years of the Democrats controlling the House has done just the same thing. I think that there were some that wasn't, they were sort of on the fence about whether the Democrat Party was ever going to come back and ever be right. And Mark, I'm going to tell you something. I've talked to a few Democrats, a few of those I know, I don't mean to know many, but I'm going to tell you something. Even Democrats are sick. They are sickened by the direction this party has gone and the killing of the babies, the anti-America stuff, taking In God We Trust out of the pledge, allowing this violence. Because, see, these cities that are being burned down, they are run by Democrats. But, Mark, the homes and the people's lives are destroyed are Democrats, too. It's not just Republicans these people are going after and destroying their life. They're destroying their own people. And I think that's what I'm feeling in my heart, that I think that this whole thing, what President Trump's allowed to happen, was to get the country sick. And that if there's a D on somebody's name, it makes us want to bomb it. And I think that it's masterful, and I do sense that, and it's not showing in these polls that they're taking. But it's an undercurrent that's underneath that you're not going to see until election night. That's just my opinion.
Right. Yeah, and I think it's look, if he wins by such a huge margin, we're not going to have an issue the following day, or as far as them trying to prolong this thing out. I think it's going to be probably a huge win. Honestly, maybe he's got a trump card up his sleeve for election. I don't know. We'll find out.
Well, he's the best troller I've ever had. I tell you what, I've ever seen in my life. He knows how to troll these Democrats. And I tell you what, he just, people worry about his Twitter feed. Look, if it wasn't for his Twitter feed, President Trump wouldn't be president. Honestly, I mean,
right.
If it wouldn't have been for Twitter, he wouldn't be president. And I do want to ask you about this real quick, and I'll turn it over to you for whatever you have tonight. But I understand Rudy Giuliani's Twitter account got suspended tonight for tweeting out the video of the Antifa Black Lives Matter people blocking the emergency room of those LA policemen that got shot. And when he tweeted out a video of that, they basically whacked his account. And that's the other level of this that has to be dealt with, Mark, is the censorship. Because you've said it a million times. Look, President Trump won in 2016 because he had a free, it was just like, no matter what the press was saying, he had a way to get to us to tell us what was really going on. Right. And they are doing everything possible to stop that right now in 2020. They are doing everything, including the voices of us out here that are following him, the mega followers.
Right. And, I've been saying they got to get two things under control. The social media, they've got to release the people to be able to speak the truth and tell the truth, because even when Durham or when the whole FISA thing comes out, how are you going to get the truth out if they're kicking people off these platforms all the time? So he's got to get control of that, and they got to get control of the voter electoral fraud. So I'd like to thank both of them, because he just put out a tweet the other day talking about Section 230.
Yes.
He put a tweet out the other day about Section 230, and it's like, we need to be pushing this. They need to get rid of, or whatever it's called, institute Section 230 or take it away, whatever it is. And so that they can go after these big tech companies, people like me and you who have been censored, like Right Wing Watch, who's been putting hit pieces out on us for 5 years. You know what I mean? Stuff like that. It's they got to do something with it. So it's up to us to push the issue.
Yeah, I'm still waiting for my blender from Right Wing Watch. I'm on their show so much, I think I've won enough door prizes. They should send me my own blender.
They just put a hit piece out on me the other day, too.
I saw that.
Yeah.
Well, at least when they do one on you, Taylor, though, they put a nice picture of you. Me, they get me with these quirky, weird faces. At least they put a nice. I saw your picture and I was like, well, this ain't fair. Taylor gets a nice picture on Right Wing Watch. They never do that at McDonald's here. It's not fair.
Well.
What you got? Anything else? But I'm gonna turn it over to you. What the Lord's saying to you tonight, and we got something we're gonna cover. I do want to talk about. We'll talk about Christian witchcraft after you talk about what you got. Any other headlines you got? Go ahead and take the show.
Border Patrol discovers and shuts down 12 human trafficking stash houses on the Texas-Mexico border. That was Laredo sector, the Border Patrol. So, guys, it's happening. This patrol disrupted 12 human smuggling stash house operations during a 10-day period. These and then led to the arrest of 229 migrants. So it's happening. You can't sit there and say, well, nothing's happening anymore. It's not going to work anymore, man. So, we talked about Operation Legend the other day, where they arrested I don't know how many they arrested, and that was close to 1,000 or something like that.
Right.
Operation Legend. And so, I mean, there's so much stuff happening right now, brother. I mean, so we just can't sit here and say that nothing's happening anymore, because the fact of the matter is, it is happening right now. So